debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to regulate international studies for wards and children of Nigerian public officers to strengthen indigenous institutions to provide efficient education services for national development and related matters. Honorable members will recall that on Wednesday, 5th December 2018, debate was adjourned to enable the Committee on Rules and Business determine the constitutionality of its jurisdiction and report back. I now invite at this level whether to pass the bill into second reading or not. But because I'm not allowed to contribute to the debate, let's listen first. There is one clause that will make something of the bill itself, but let's see if it's considered. So, Honorable Sergius Ogun is now invited.
I rise to move that a bill for an act to regulate international studies for wards and children of Nigerian public officers to strengthen indigenous institutions, to provide efficient educational services for national development and for related matters be moved for a second time. Be read for a second time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Sergius Ogun, lead the debate.
I raise it, but most times people come back to me to say I didn't say things, and I assume the brief is supposed to be self-explanatory. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, permit me to lead the debate in support of the International Studies Regulation Bill, which seeks to regulate the practice of public servants sending their children and wards to study abroad when we have the capacity to build and develop an enviable educational system that will become the education tourism destination of other nations of the world. This practice of utilizing our commonwealth in developing the economies of other nations in the name of overseas studies will leave ours weak and purer. Hence the need to regulate foreign studies and ensure that state resources are not looted and used to bankroll overseas studies. When this is done, it will, in the long run, improve the standard of our educational system and bring our educational institutions into global reckoning as leading and qualitative educational centers. The background. The number of Nigerians who travel abroad for studies is on the rise. The trend is visible at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels, and destinations are varied and diverse. United Kingdom, United States of America, Canada are choice destinations for Nigerians. Also, countries like Ghana, Malaysia, Egypt, and South Africa, just to mention a few, have become the education tourism destinations for Nigerian students seeking to study abroad. This is, in itself, is not bad, as every good intention quest for knowledge, skill, and expertise is a noble pursuit and should be encouraged. However, the financial, human, and economic drain which it spares for Nigeria is the reason why this trend has to be regulated. Also, the latitude which it gives public servants, public office holders, and government officials to loot our commonwealth and stack state funds into foreign institutions for their children/wards studying overseas is alarming. For instance, it has been reported that Ghana alone gets 160 billion naira of Nigerian students' funds, while the United Kingdom gets 80 billion from Nigerian students. In 2014, about 75,000 Nigerians were said to be studying in Ghana, paying about $1 billion annually as tuition fees and upkeep. Most of these Nigerian foreign students are children of public servants and political office holders who ostensibly cut away public funds to a private use. It is against this background that this bill is designed to regulate this practice, curtail the depletion of our national patrimony by corrupt means, forestall the stifling of our economic growth, process and rebuild our educational system, and position same for global competitiveness. Objectives of the bill: to regulate international studies for children of public servants in Nigeria, strengthen indigenous educational institutions to meet global standards, boost the economy by reducing cash flight and foreign exchange, deter public servants from embezzling public funds, reduce brain drain, and institute good welfare conditions for indigenous academics, experts, and professionals based abroad to come back home and develop their country with their skills and expertise. Build a better society by developing formidable educational institutions. And 7, facilitate the realization of the fundamental objectives and policies of state as enshrined in Section 13 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended. The benefits of the bill: regulatory nature, the bill does not prevent public servants or any private citizen from sending their children for studies abroad. It only seeks to ensure that a public servant who desires to send his child abroad does not divert public funds to so do. Thus, public servant must first show that she has the wherewithal to sponsor his child on the studies trip. Clause 4, 5, and 6 of the bill provides for the procedure to be followed in getting approval of the relevant authority before the child of a public servant is sent abroad for studies. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether you have this brief. Let me save some of this and then just go. Let me go to the content and structure of the bill. Like I said, most of these things have been said here. The bill has 11 clauses. Clause 1 makes provision for the principles and objectives of the bill. Clause 2 provides for the upgrade and maintenance of public educational institutions. Clause 3 provides for the sensitization of public officers on the negative effect of sending their children to study abroad on the nation. Clause 4 prohibits public officers from sending their children abroad for studies without prior approval of the Minister of Education at the time. Clause 5 makes provision for application for approval of intention to send a child abroad for studies by the public officer. Clause 6 provides for the documents to be submitted alongside the application for approval by the public officer. Clause 7 empowers the minister to conduct investigation in a bid to verify the claims made by the public officer in the application. Clause 8 specifies the mode and duration within which an applicant is to be informed of the fate of his or her application by the minister. Clause 9 stipulates the penalty for anyone who violates this law. Clause 10 is the interpretation section spelling out the meaning of the words and phrases used in this bill. And Clause 11 provides for the citation of the bill. So, Mr. Speaker, my highly esteemed colleagues, this is a very harmless bill. It doesn't offend anybody. It doesn't offend anything. There's no human rights violation here. When we debated Honorable Olajimide's motion 2 weeks ago, we said the nicest of things here in this house, in this chamber, about how the state of our education has gone comatose and what we should do and all that. This bill is only giving a bite to some of the things we suggested there. Even my colleague, Honorable Chika Abubakar, said the other day here that we, those in government, send our kids outside to school, and those that voted for us and those that have allowed us to serve in government cannot afford to send their children out. I'm quoting him. So the point I'm making here is that we have to bite the bullet, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. We don't have one pill that will solve all the problems of this country. We have to take it in stages. When the one-child policy in China came, I can assure you that not many people liked it. But today, everybody is going to China. It was said that that one-child policy saved about, let me put it the right way. About 400 million children would have been given birth to without that policy at the time. But today, like I said, everyone wants to go to China. Imagine without that policy, there probably would have been over 1 trillion people today. The world will not contain them. So the point I'm simply trying to make here is ASU are negotiating with the federal government today because of the state of our education. Lecturers have left, gone overseas to go and teach. If you go to Canada, they are everywhere, even in the US, Nigerian lecturers. They are not here. And then we are talking about an assistant director. I am of the view that civil servants should be well paid. I believe in that. I came from the private sector. Even my driver, my cook, they earn far more than some of the people that work in public service. But a situation when an assistant director is training 7 children overseas, Mr. Speaker, how much is the salary? How much is airfare for a child? How much is the upkeep of that child overseas? How much is the tuition fee? So simply what we are saying here, if your child is brilliant and can get scholarship, why not? My kids will be entering the university next year, not even this year. When this bill becomes law, Mr. Speaker, and I am still in government, and I'm back to this house, they will school in Nigeria. They know that. I have told them clearly, if your grades are up the roof and you can get scholarship, you go and school outside. Otherwise, you school here.
Honorable Sergius, but there is, in mathematics, the word if is a very strong word in mathematics. You said your children will be entering university next year. But if you succeed in making this law and you run away, you are no longer in government, your children are free to go to any school anywhere all over the world.
Mr. Speaker, it's not about me. I'm talking about public servants. I have enough money to train my children anywhere in the world. You can take that to the bank. But what I'm saying
but
that...
you are a public servant as at now.
That is the point I am making. So as long as I remain a public servant, they will school here.
But when you are no longer a public servant and you have put a law that will guard some people, then your children are free to go to school.
Mr. Speaker, it's not about me. That's what I'm saying. The private sector can send that. If you work hard in the private sector, you can do that. Even if you are a public servant, you can show that your wife has a business and you can put that money together to send that child. By all means, you can do that. That's the point I'm making. But a situation when you have a public servant who is an assistant director, has 4 wives, they don't work, and they're all visiting children overseas, come on, we have become a laughing stock of the world. That's what we are saying here. It's not enough to mouth fight against corruption. I have said that we need to put a template in place to check corruption in this country.
Okay, your bill trying to fight corruption or strengthen our educational system in Nigeria, or like the leader said, or prohibit Nigerians to go abroad to study? You have 3 areas now. Are you trying to fight corruption? Are you saying that in an attempt to strengthen our educational institution or our system, we must all study in Nigeria? That is the basis. Or you are preventing, so let's members know, so that with this passion, so that they can be clear on what to support.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for helping me put out this clarification. The monies voted for, okay, now I go back. The executive prepares the budget. It's brought here, and we are stampeded into passing it, and then it goes back to the executive. The executive implements the budget. So if those that should implement the budget take the money to send their children out of this country, that is corruption, because they cannot show proof where they have raised the money. 1. Secondly, if we believe as public officers that we have option out there, we are not going to take the education, funding of education seriously in this country. We can.
The question now is the bill be read for the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Okay, clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, a bill for an act to regulate international studies for wards and children of Nigerian public officers, to strengthen the union institutions to provide efficient educational services for national development and for native matters. Second reading.